There's a saying in finance that 90% of the move comes in the last 10% of the time. And I think when it comes to leadership in general, it doesn't matter if it's a big company or a little company. We are about to hit that 90% of the move starting now. I would say any time between now and the end of 2027, we are going to see the fall of bad leadership. And what I mean by bad leadership is the personal traits, right? Anyone who is in it for themselves and not the larger group as a whole. Anyone who is narcissistic. Anyone who is not people first. I think those people are going to go away, and I don't think it's going to be pretty with how they're going to leave. But you know what? That's okay, because like everybody else, I kind of like to watch the drama. I kind of like to watch people spilling the tea and then seeing what happens. We have been watching in real time the collapse of the contract between employer and employee, which to me started dissolving, I would say, probably in the 70s, the minute that they replaced pensions with 401ks. So that was happening before any millennial was born. And I think as the years have progressed, we have seen a collapse of that trust further and further. And specifically, it's, with the rise of technology, things have gotten both easier and harder. One thing that bothers me, and that's always bothered me, and that always will bother me, is when people say that nobody wants to work anymore. I think that is probably true for a very small percentage of people. But the reasons that these people give for why they say that nobody wants to work anymore are just completely asinine to me. Because, they like to say, well, back in my day, we worked really hard and we did, X, Y, and Z. And we paid our dues and, whatever. I'm not going to be one of those people that says things were a lot easier back then, but they were absolutely a lot different. And what I mean by that is, even if we look back at the TV show Mad Men, I always like Mad Men to use that as an example. In the late 50s, primarily it took place in the 60s. And I mean, think about it. Like, you got up, you went to work, and then you maybe went out for after dinner drinks, but then you were at home. You didn't have email. You didn't have Slack, text messaging, any of all of these ways to get a hold of people. And if you really wanted to talk to them, you called them on the home phone. But other than that, when you were done with work, you were done with work. And now it's like people are just expected to be on all the time. And it's causing a lot of burnout and frustration, because it's like, how much more can you really drain from us as a millennial? That's my question. And the thing is, we show up and we do it. We work after hours. We are on call. We are working from the time that we get up until we go to sleep. So you're never going to hear me say about millennials that they're not hardworking people. Millennials are some of the hardest working people I have ever met in my life. And we did it for a long time. And we enjoyed doing it because we thought that we were going to get somewhere. One thing about millennials, I think a lot of us, the elder millennials, the zennials, are enjoying a sort of midlife retirement where we don't want to climb the corporate ladder anymore. We're going to stay exactly where we are, start our own business, do our own side hustle on the side, whatever that may be. Because we've come to understand that relying on one job for your income is not only reckless, but it's straight up dangerous. And we're all coming to terms with that. And it's a bummer. But I think at the end of the day, we are all okay with that because we are learning earlier than previous generations that the real wealth is health. It's mental health, it's emotional health, it's physical health, it's all around well-being. And I love that for us. But the trust is gone. And I called it a while ago something called reciprocity fatigue, right? Where, before we were born, these were the rules of the workplace, right? Like if you go and you work somewhere 20, 30, 40, 50 years in exchange for your loyalty, you got a pension. And that company would take care of you into your retirement years. And then that was replaced with 401ks. And then slowly but surely, all of these other things just started getting eliminated or replaced altogether. And I'm old enough to remember when layoffs were something that were completely shameful. And if you were a company that had to lay off a bunch of people, like shame on you for your horrible funds mismanagement, your lack of strategy, like all of these things, right? Like shame on you for having to do that to people. And now it's normal. We've normalized it. And so the trust is completely gone. And so why should people be loyal to a company that is not going to be loyal to them in exchange? All these companies are getting so mad. Nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do that. Well, you've taken away all of the incentives because even a paycheck isn't guaranteed anymore. And so I think if you are not a people first leader or a people first company, in the next 6 months to a year, you're not going to make it. Revolution is in the air. It is upon us. That 90% of the move that comes in the last 10% of the time, we've hit that. We're there. We're at that marker. And so what do I mean by being people first? I mean, you have got to restore the sense of trust. That you can be trusted, and that if you expect us to be loyal, you need to be loyal. We need to get back to the premise of happy employees mean happy customers, mean more money. But then when you get more money, you have to share that with your employees to keep them happy. Right now, a lot of people can't even survive and make a living wage in the economy. Okay, like it's a lot of things, it's a lot of reasons, and unfortunately that comes back to employers most of the time. You have to pay people what they're worth. If they're meeting their goals, you have to compensate them for that. And the thing is like, I say people first, and people just assume that that means let people get away with murder. Give them whatever they want so that they don't cause problems. No, that's not what I mean. People genuinely want to be led. High performers want to be led. People want to know what they need to do, when they need to do it by, and where the overall direction is going. And then if they do that, if they contribute to that they're going to get something in return. It means holding people accountable that are not high performers, that are taking down the rest of the team. It means holding people accountable. It means doing what you say you're going to do. It means saying what you mean what you say, being direct about it, but not being a dick about it. It means being a human. It means understanding that we work to live. We don't live to work. And these are just very basic things and basic starting points of how you can start to rebuild trust. And those are my thoughts. I want everyone to succeed. I want there to be good leadership in the world. I want these companies to succeed because they do employ a lot of people. The Thing is, the market always comes back around. I know you all are old enough to remember the Great Resignation that happened just a couple years ago. Just because it's an employer market right now doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. And if you don't get your shit together, if you run a company in the next couple of years, you're not going to make it. I can promise you that. I don't make the rules. It's just the way shit is.